Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. I've been covering monster flipping more on the channel, and in this video, it's going to be really short, but we got to explain in detail why DEC doesn't matter when you're monster flipping. There's a comment here, and it's got 6 thumbs up, and it's around the issue of nothing matters except for DEC. If you bought a card for 1,000 DEC and you sell it for 500 because the price of DEC changes, their concern is, I've lost money. Have I? Or if I bought the card for $2 worth of DEC and sold it for $3 worth of DEC, did I make money? That's the question. Let's read the comment, and then I'm going to quickly try to explain. It'll be a brief video, but it's so important. Okay, so Matt Houston said on one of my monster flipping videos, he goes, I think you have it backwards. And again, I have said in this video and elsewhere that DEC doesn't matter. So my point is, it doesn't matter how many DEC I bought it for, nor how many I get in return. And his concern is, yes, it does. And see, 6 people liked it. So let's read what he says. I think you have it backwards. The dollar value is what doesn't matter because you're spending DEC and receiving DEC. I totally get that. Let's keep going. So when I buy it, I pay DEC. When I sell it, I get DEC. So he figures that's all that matters. He goes on both transactions. So the only thing that matters is how many DEC you gained or lost, I guess, right? Not what it was worth at the time you made the transaction. Wrong. 100% wrong. And I'll spend hopefully 2 minutes explaining why. And I want you to stick around because if you're going to get value out of monster flipping, this is so important to understand. If you buy a card for $1 US, because remember, yes, they're priced in DEC, but they're not. Like, you pay in DEC, but when you go into the marketplace and you buy a card, it is 1 penny or it is $10. It is not, it doesn't list it in DEC price. When you sell a card, you don't tell the market how many DEC you want to receive. You tell it how much US dollar value it is. And therefore, when I buy a card, it is priced in US dollars. So yes, you're right. You are 100% right. I pay DEC for that transaction. So when I buy a card for $5 on, let's say, November 1st, which is 14 days ago, I pay a certain exchange rate, right? For $5 US, I need to accumulate, I don't even know how many DEC that would have been on November 1st. And then if DEC fluctuates wildly, it's possible that I buy that card for $5, list it for $7.50, and a week later sell it for a $2.50 profit. But he would say it's not a profit, maybe. It depends on how many DEC I got back. If I paid 10,000 DEC for it and I got 8,000 back, he's saying I lost money. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Okay, why is it wrong? Because I don't care how many DEC I got. His theory only makes sense if I want to accumulate DEC. Do you think that that's what I want to do when I'm monster flipping? And honestly, think about it. Is that what you want to do when you're monster flipping? Do you want more DEC or do you want more value? And I say what we want is more value. And so what is value? Well, one thing, it's the cards. It's possible to accumulate cards through the accumulation of US dollar value, regardless of whether the DEC is growing in number or shrinking in number. Because again, USD value is how they're priced. And so whether you pay in DEC or, for that matter, credits, it does not matter. Because the issue is you pay a US dollar value, and so long as I sell that for a USD profit, I don't care if I make 1 DEC or lose 100, because the second I receive those new DEC, even if I get less on the sale, it's being paid in a given moment of time where that less DEC is worth more USD. That is the crux of this whole thing. You got to get that. I'm going to say it again. It doesn't matter to me how many DEC I get. It matters to me how many USD I've got. And so even if my USD is greater, but my DEC is lower, I'm happy. And in that moment, I'm going to almost immediately, give or take 12 hours, I'm going to recognize that sale and I'm going to put that value to work. So I buy a card for $5 and let's just say it's 5,000 DEC. And I sell that card for $7 and let's just say I get 4,000 DEC. Did I lose value? No, I made $2 US dollars. And it doesn't matter that my DEC went down because I'm going to immediately reinvest that DEC So the volatility of DEC is irrelevant. So important that you get this, or you will not see the value of the investment value opportunity within monster flipping. I hope that makes sense. But it just really comes down to the volatility of DEC is irrelevant to me because I'm never holding it. I'm not trying to accumulate more of it. I'm trying to get more cards and more value. And value is represented in two ways. One, number of cards I have in my portfolio, and two, the US dollar value of those things. I don't care how many DEC they're each worth. I care how much US dollar value they're worth. And I never want to hold DEC for a long-term, on a long-term basis. I'm not looking for appreciation or depreciation. I'm looking to get rid of all volatility in regards to the trading currency of DEC. I want to use it simply as a transactional currency to acquire more cards and more cards and more cards. If I buy a card for $5 US, and let's just say that equates to at the time of purchase for that card, let's say that the DEC is at peg value, meaning 5,000 DEC required to buy a $5 card. And I spend 5,000 DEC on day one to buy that card, that $5 card. And then I buy it and I relist it for $7.50. That's theoretically a 2,500 DEC increase in my value. Or more importantly to me, it's a $2.50 increase in my value. And then let's say I eventually, it takes a while for the sale to transact, but when the card actually sells, I get $7.50 US. I will. That's by design. That's what I listed it for. That's what it'll sell for if it sells at all. And then I'll receive that value. It'll be paid to me in DEC, like he said. That's true. Now, let's continue the analogy and say, but he's right. Let's say the DEC got somehow less, meaning that the DEC went so much up in value that it broke. It took fewer DEC to buy that card back from me. That's what he's worried about. So then even though I only get $7.50, even though I'm getting $7.50 worth of cryptocurrency, and yes, it's paid in DEC, it's conceivable that would be even less. Like, let's say, just for easy numbers, let's say it's somehow 4,000 DEC, but just again, for easy numbers. So I get 4,000 DEC back. I technically lost 1,000 DEC. Do I care? Not in the least. Why? Because 4,000 DEC at the time of sale is worth, like we said in my example, $7.50. And I paid on the time of purchase $5 US worth of DEC. I don't care if it's 1 DEC or 1,000,000 that I get back, so long as it equates to greater US dollar value, because all cards, though paid transactionally, are paid for with DEC, they're priced in US dollar value. So because my aim is never to acquire more DEC, but in fact to acquire more cards and to make more USD, I don't care if there's volatility in the price of the DEC. I care that I receive my 20 to 50% USD profit. And that's all I care about. People constantly ask this question. There's one criticism you can levy against my argument. That would be fair. And I want to articulate that so that you fully understand, I understand your position. The one criticism you can levy against what I've just explained to you is this, that you would have been better off in the example cited to just hold DEC rather than buy that card and do the whole flip, which is in some sense true, because if I bought a card for 5,000 DEC and sold it for 4,000 DEC, I've lost DEC. You're right, but you're wrong, because that transaction was bridged by US dollar and I received $2.50 more worth of US dollar in that time period, which is all that matters, because again, cards are priced in US dollar value. So got to understand that, guys, if you're going to make money flipping. And yes, it works. And I hope you'll stick around for this series. This is going to be a valuable one for you new guys. On some of these ones, we'll talk about how to flip. On other ones, we'll answer questions and criticisms around it. And in a third type of video, I hope to really show you some of how my trades. Currently, I'm continuing to sit on those. I still have my Cerberus, my Haunted Spirit, and my Medusa for sale. and I could check on their price points and see how they're comparing to the other market listings and perhaps lower my prices if I was so inclined, but I'm not inclined to do so. I'll just let them sit there for now. I'm not impatient. I'm willing to wait a few weeks, and maybe in a month's time, if they're still sitting there, we might need to revisit pricing. But for now, we're fine. Guys, thanks so much. Have an amazing day. God bless.